what do you feel that traditionalists do well? And what could we learn from them that might improve the Catholic culture of the faithful?
Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you for asking this question, because I, of course, always want to acknowledge the good that that those who identify themselves as traditional Catholics want, right? What they want are good things. These are good things. Um, and we all, of course, want to encourage that. And I think it was it G.K. Chesterton? I believe it was G.K. Chesterton who said that an error, an ideology, right, or a heresy, is not so much a vice or something that's evil, but rather it's a virtue gone mad.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so good, is that these things, such as, reverent worship, like that is a virtue, right? But if you are putting that in a proper context, or out of its proper context, right? Or if you are abusing that good, or you're elevating that good that's supposed to be a means into an end, that's when it's a virtue that goes mad, right? It becomes an idol. It becomes something that's destructive. And so what I'm saying is that you can still have these good things, but you have to have them in the right context. Otherwise, it turns to dust in your mouth. Otherwise, it actually ends up being a destructive influence in your life that ends up undermining your faith, undermining things rather than actually growing it. And so if we can, as I talked about with Dom on the Logos Project, when we talked about the traditional Catholic movement, if we can realize our mistakes that we have made in the traditional Catholic movement, and the spirit of rebellion, whether you call that, loyal disobedience, loyal dissent, resistance, noble resistance, whatever you want to call it, right? And if we repent of that and reorient the movement back into the heart of the church, and we're willing to give up things and sacrifice our own wills and work within the context of the church to bring those good things, even if it doesn't look like what we want it to look like, right? You can still work toward reverence and worship without having it look like, exactly these specifics in the 1962 missal, or, the 1958, Easter week, or whatever, particular liturgical expression you may be fixated on. You can work toward what it is you authentically want, and it can be achieved within that and within the church. And it's within the church that Christ is going to give it fruit, and that it's going to blossom in your heart. And it's actually going to be beneficial not only to you, but to the church, and build up the church as a whole. So we need to get away from this spirit of rebellion and negativity and attacking of the church, and actually begin to support the church, give up some of the things that we want in order, and have humility, admit our faults. And by doing that, the beautiful things that the traditional Catholic community has to offer will then be able to bear fruit in the family of God, the church.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, it's the traditionalists. I do have to give them credit for, they don't want to, pardon my French, they don't want to half-ass Catholicism. They want to do it 100%. And they take more trouble than most to educate themselves about stuff, or the lives of the saints, or things like that. It's like, wow, I mean, you're so dedicated because you want to know. So you go to school on things, and if you hold contrary opinions to the main line, you got to be able to support that. So they do really put some work into that. It's like, wow, if every Catholic did as much towards just general, learning about the church and their heritage and why it's important to do what we do, we'd be bringing so many more people into the church, and we'd never want to leave.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Also, leaving tradition